Bear with me. This is going to take maybe 2 or 3 minutes, but it is worth it. Please stay till the end, like and share the video, and drop comments down below. Now, I was on the radio for over 30 years in some pretty big markets, including San Francisco, so I got to meet a lot of famous people. And I met a lot of famous people just on the streets of the Bay Area as well. Today is May the 4th be with you day, right? And I am a big Star Wars fanatic, and I've got some cool Close Encounters. I know it's a different movie. Close Encounters with Star Wars that I'd like to share with you. First off, I'm 54 years old. And I know I don't look a day over 60, but I'm 54, and I was in line in May of 1977 at the now long since demolished Coronet movie theater on Geary in San Francisco. And this was one of those great movie houses, and some of the biggest movies played there during the 70s and 80s, and it was eventually demolished. But I was there with my father in line for hours to see this movie that he wouldn't tell me much about. I don't think he knew much about it, but it was called Star Wars, and he knew that there was hype about it, and everybody wanted to see it on opening day that was a sci-fi fan, right? And I'm glad that I went with him, and I have great memories of that. I still remember being in line for hours and hours wondering what the heck gives. What is this big deal movie? But I'm glad I stuck it through. I'm going to try to do these in order. So the next one takes us to the early 90s when Harrison Ford was promoting his movie Clear and Present Danger when he was playing the Tom Clancy character, Jack Ryan. That's right, Harrison Ford used to be Jack Ryan, for all you young whippersnappers that don't know that Harrison Ford played that character. Anyway, so he was in San Francisco, and I got to interview Willem Dafoe, Harrison Ford, and a couple of the other actors, some of the lesser-known actors from that movie, Clear and Present Danger. And I remember my heart beating in my chest when I got a chance to go. We were one-on-one, so we went into these hotel room suites in downtown San Francisco, and there was Harrison Ford, shook my hand, and the funny thing, true story, I couldn't make this up, we were both wearing long-sleeve, kind of powder blue pinstripe dress shirts, blue or black slacks, and black penny loafers. Penny loafers were big back then. And he looked at me, he looked me up and down, and I looked him up and down, and we just kind of smiled. He did this kind of Harrison Ford grin. And it was so funny. I looked like a stalker, like I knew what he was going to wear or something. He wasn't taking pictures with fans back then. It was kind of a shy period where I think he was getting a lot of flack from stalkers and people. So he didn't take pictures with fans. I wish I had a picture with Harrison Ford, but he did sign a Star Wars thing for me. So that was probably the coolest person and the biggest Hollywood celeb, next to Charlton Heston, who I've ever interviewed. That was really a lot of fun. I didn't interview Charlton Heston. I got a chance to meet him. What's the next story? The next story takes us between the original 3 movies and the second trilogy, whatever years those were. I'm not quite remembering in my head what year those came out, but it was before the second trilogy came out. I was in the now defunct Borders bookstore in Novato, California. Now, Novato might not mean anything to you who aren't in the San Francisco Bay Area or know the San Francisco Bay Area, but this is where Skywalker Ranch is. Few minutes down the road from where this bookstore was. So it wasn't that odd, I guess, that George Lucas would be in this bookstore. I had never gone to that bookstore before, and I never went since. So this one time that I was there, I don't even remember why I was there. I didn't even buy anything, but I was in this bookstore, and I look over, and we were virtually the only 2 customers in the entire store, and I look over, and I see the beard and the glasses and the hair, and I go, that's George freaking Lucas. This is cool. So I mustered up the guts to go up to him. I was very shy about it, and he's a very reserved guy. I mean, he made me look like an extrovert. Very, very shy and kind of just looking down. And I didn't want to make a big scene or anything, even though nobody else was really even there. But I said, Mr. Lucas, and I put my hand out. I go, I just have to shake your hand and thank you for creating some of the best movies of all time and movies that I grew up and were so iconic for my childhood and during my childhood. Thank you for that. And I got a chance to shake George Lucas's hand. He was kind of awkward. He was just kind of like, oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for watching them and stuff. Very, very it was kind of an underwhelming experience. I always thought that if I met George Lucas, it would be like, something really huge, like he'd pull out a lightsaber and I'd have to pull out mine or something. But it was nice. I was able to shake George Lucas's hand and actually thank one of the most iconic filmmakers of all time, who created one of the biggest franchises of all time, thank him personally, which is not something everybody gets a chance to do. Okay, I might have gotten the order mixed up here. I can't remember if this next one was before or after that George Lucas moment, but I specifically went to my first and only sci-fi convention. I don't go to sci-fi conventions, I swear. I don't go to like Comic-Cons and stuff, although I'd like to be able to meet some of my favorite celebrities, right? So I went to this one that was in Fairfield, California, if I remember right, at a hotel or a convention center or something. And I got a chance to meet my childhood crush, Aaron Gray, who played Colonel Wilma Deering in Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. Any Gen X kid, especially boys, remember that show, right? We grew up with it. And I got to meet Gil Gerard, too, who played Buck Rogers. So that was cool. But guess who else was at this convention? Peter Mayhew. That's right. Peter Mayhew, to Star Wars fans, is the original Chewbacca. The original Chewbacca. I might actually get a Sasquatch following me in here if I'm not careful. Anyway, I got to meet Peter Mayhew, and I'm 5'7". This guy's like 7 foot something. He was huge. And my ex-wife, I think, ended up with the picture. I don't know where it is, and it bugs me to no end that I don't have that picture with Peter Mayhew, because it was one of my favorite people that I ever met from the Star Wars films, right? And he was in, I think, 7 of the 9 movies, if I remember correctly. My Star Wars trivia is kind of slipping as I get older, but he was in the first trilogy, the second trilogy, and I think he made it to The Force Awakens, and then he started getting sick and his health deteriorated, and they needed a younger, more kind of agile and athletic Chewbacca to take over the suit. Okay, one last Star Wars related story here, and this takes us to being on the radio at 9:10 a.m. Not 9:10 in the morning, but 9:10 a.m. The radio frequency. Never mind. This station doesn't even exist anymore. But I got to interview. Oh, the name's escaping me. Eric Bowersfeld. Eric Bowersfeld, who played. He voiced, anyway, the original Admiral Akbar in the original Star Wars films. He's the one that says, "It's a trap," right? It's a trap. And I got to interview him. I didn't get a chance to meet him. It was over the phone interview, but it was still so cool and so iconic, and he did the voice for me. And he told me that he did the voice. He came up with the voice immediately when he saw what the character looked like. That's just the voice that came to mind. He said, "This is the voice I want to do." Did you know he didn't even get credit in the original Star Wars movie? It wasn't until they redid the movies, I think, with the special editions that they actually put him in the credits. That's what he said anyway. Kind of a bittersweet part of that interview is that Eric Bowersfeld offered to meet me for lunch or dinner or something in Berkeley, California, and that's where he lived and still did voiceover work. And I lived not too far away from Berkeley, and I grew up in San Francisco, born and raised. And I said, "Oh my gosh, I know some great places. I'm sure you do too. Let's get together. I'm going to have lunch with Admiral Akbar." Well, you should seize the opportunities when you can, because it turns out that he passed away shortly thereafter. We never got a chance to meet. I never got a chance to shake his hand. But I did have that interview, and I did get a chance to thank him for such a kind of a small character in the whole scheme of things. He's one of the most memorable from the original Star Wars film. Wow, and that took me almost 9 minutes. I figure if you're a Star Wars fan, you stayed till the end. Let me know if you got through all the stories of interviewing Harrison Ford, Eric Bowersfeld, Admiral Akbar, meeting Peter Mayhew, and meeting George Lucas at the Borders Books, and seeing Star Wars first run when it was brand new and the world didn't even know what it was yet. They had no idea. The world had no idea this was going to be one of the biggest, most successful franchises in movie history. That was May of 1977. Spencer Hughes, thanks a lot for watching. Please give a like. If you made it this far, especially, a like and a share. It is May the 4th be with you day, and I thought I'd share those personal Star Wars stories with you today. Thank you if you made it to the end.